Hey my friends, how are you today? If you are just finding me for the first time, my name is Misty Sims, and if you found me, you found my little corner of the internet that I like to call Beyond Reasonable Doubt, where we talk about all things true crime, culty, and a little bit creepy. And if you are a returning subscriber, you know that I love you so much, more than cupcakes with sprinkles. I've broken out the hoodie today because it is cold. I think it's cold. You guys know I'm a Southern girl, so this getting down into the 50s at night is already making me cold. But if you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you clicked this video, and I do hope that you hang out with me long term and click that subscribe button and help me bring more true crime all the time to you guys. And leave me some love below, like, comment, share this video, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think about today's case. It was one that I vaguely remembered hearing about. I think because it happened in 2019 that it got overshadowed, with the whole little COVID thing happening right after it. But I vaguely remembered it, so I saw that Lifetime is doing a TV movie about it, so that's why I wanted to bring it to you today. But before we get into the heavy stuff, how are you guys doing? Have you had a great week? I'm a little later getting this video out than I wanted to be because, life has happened this week. It's been crazy. If I look tired, trust me, I am. It's been a long week, and it's not even halfway over. But we're doing the restaurant thing, so that's going great. We're gonna take a day off this week, just because there's some big festivities going on where I live, and we want to be able to enjoy that. And then most of the town goes to that type of thing anyway, so we figured it would be a down night. So it's time to do something fun. My son turned 10, so we're going to be celebrating him this weekend with a birthday. So or with a party. His birthday's already passed. So just a really, really fun week. I hope you guys are having a great one, getting outside, enjoying hopefully the start of fall weather where you're at. It definitely is here. It's still kind of hot during the day, but getting kind of crispy at night. We were sitting outside at soccer tonight, and I needed a hoodie for the first time, or a jacket or something. So kind of loving that, loving the football. You guys know I'm a big football fan. I'm a big Alabama fan. So last weekend wasn't a great one for me, but but it was a good football weekend overall. So hope y'all are enjoying things like that. But that's not what you came here for. We came here to talk some true crime. So before we get into it, I do want to remind you that this case and this video is just for entertainment purposes only. I am just a lady on the internet with a camera, a mic, and entirely too much to say. So please remember to do your own research, and as always, be kind in the comment section below. We never know if we might have family members, friends, or someone affected directly by the case that could be reading them, and we certainly don't want to do anything to further their pain or hurt their feelings. So let's get right into it. So today's case it's a heavy one. I feel like, especially if you're if you're a parent, it's going to get to you a little bit. So that's kind of a little bit of a trigger warning. It does involve a child losing their parent, and it also involves kidnapping and things like that. So if that stuff triggers you, you can click out of this video, and I will see you again in another one. I certainly hope. But this one rocked the nation for what it was at the time. Like I said, COVID came quickly after it, so it did get overshadowed, I feel like, for what happened and how it carried out. I heard about the events, heard about the arrest. I'd never really fully finished hearing about trials and things like that. And then I was watching TV the other day, and they are going to do a made-for-TV movie about it on Lifetime. I, of course, will watch it. Lifetime movies are kind of... I don't know, it's like a little personal, what do you call it? The little guilty pleasure. And sometimes they're spot on, and then other times they're what they are. So we'll see how this one plays out. But today we're going to talk about the case of Heather Broussard. And I may butcher these names in this. If I do, please forgive me. You guys know that, English is my first language, and it's my only language, and it's pretty sadly spoken. So bear with me. But Heather Broussard was an absolutely stunning girl from the Texas area. She was a brand new mother to a 3-week-old little baby, 2 to 3 week old baby named Margo Carey. She had a 6-year-old son named Silas, and she was in a relationship with her boyfriend Shane Carey. So by all accounts, wow, we're off to a great start, aren't we? Heidi Broussard. Wow. So sorry. Heidi was just a delight. Everybody that was around her said, that she was just a friend to everybody. She gave the biggest, strongest hugs. She just embraced you. And she was so excited to be a mom already to Silas, but then to welcome this new baby girl into her life. She had a boy and a girl, so she was just over the moon to have one of each child, and was just so excited. And then tragedy struck, and Heidi and Margo, the baby, were missing on December the 12th, 2019. So what led up to this? How did we get there? And what happened to Heidi and Margo? So the morning of December the 12th started like any other from the accounts that Shane Carey gave. He got up, he got, I think some breakfast, kind of got ready for work. Woke up Silas, so that way that, they could get Silas ready for school. Silas was 6 at the time. So, Heidi gets up, sees Shane off to work. She gets up, she tends to the baby, she tends to Silas, and they get in the car, and she takes him to school. And she's pretty stoked about taking him to school because I think this was her first outing, if I'm not mistaken, alone, taking him to school with the baby. So kind of doing the mom thing with 2 kids was understandable. She's 2 to 3 weeks deep of being a 2-kid household. And if you're a parent to more than one child, you know that first outing it's a little scary, I think, because you're just like, how do I do this with 2? Watching one, you're like, doing the one-on-one thing, that's a little easier, but 2, it kind of changes, how you're going to handle things, right? But she did a great job. She got him off to school, and she got to check out the book fair. So this one just, it really resonated with me because, if you guys, I think we've all done the book fair, right? Surely. And ain't nobody ever had a better time than 6-year-old me at the book fair with $20 because you were strutting through there to get your cat poster and an avocado pencil or something, and you were flying high for the rest of the day. Ain't nobody touching me, right? So I'm picturing this with Heidi because she immediately calls Shane after she leaves the book fair, and she's telling him all about what she got. I spent $25, and it sounded so much like, just how I would feel about going to the book fair now. The 6-year-old in me would come back out, and it sounded like it did her. So I just really, that kind of touched me. But she called him. They have a conversation. She tells him all about the book fair. She's headed home. See you later. Love you. Bye. And that's the last time that Shane will ever speak to Heidi. He gets home, and, he doesn't think a whole lot about it at first that she and Margo aren't there. From what I understand, they live in an apartment complex. So it wasn't out of character for her to be at, a neighbor's apartment or maybe go and visit a friend or anything like that. But as he starts looking around the apartment, that's when things don't make sense because her purse and the diaper bag are there. And if you have ever babysat or are a parent or whatever, with a 2 to 3 week old baby, if you leave the house for 20 minutes, you need 20 diapers, twice as many wipes, a change of clothes, 7 pacifiers, a van, a playpen, all the things, right? You just don't leave the house without a diaper bag. No one would do that. So he kind of gets a little antsy at that point, right? Starts kind of calling around. Nobody really knows where Heidi is. So this is where Shane gets a lot of criticism, and I've seen a lot of YouTubers speak out on this, and I agree with what they say. Shane calls the police. They get involved. They're starting the search. Everyone's looking for Heidi. And the first thing that happens always, and this is not criticizing the media, I'm trying not to ever be critical on the channel of their coverage unless it's just need be. But the first thing they do is they put a camera in the significant other's face, if possible, and what happened, all this stuff. Can you recount everything? And he did. He recounted his day, and he didn't show a lot of emotion at that point. He wasn't really getting teary or anything like that. And people are like, oh, he said it this way, and he didn't cry, and he did this. He's the second coming of Chris Watts, or just all this stuff, and I didn't see that when I watched the interview, and I've watched it a couple different times from the full clips, kind of spliced in clips, all of it, to try to see if I could get their perspective, and I didn't see it. What I see, and I don't know anything about Shane, I couldn't find like a ton on his background or anything like that, but he kind of looked like, if I'm not mistaken, they were from Louisiana. And growing up in the South, we all have seen like that. It's probably everywhere, but especially here, I feel like, there's that outdoorsy, burly, man's man kind of thing of raising, and they don't always show their emotion, and that there's nothing wrong with that each to their own. It doesn't make you a bad person because you choose not to be completely outward with your emotion, nor does it make you a bad person if you are outward with your emotion. It just may be your demeanor, and that's what I think it was. And the reason I think that, not just because I know how this turns out, but we see when he brings up Margo and he starts talking about her being missing, he cracks, and the surface starts to crack, and he starts to tear up and cry. And it's like, I don't care how big and burly you are, you're gonna have, that little baby girl is gonna have you wrapped around her finger. My little baby girl just came through the room, so that was the door shutting. But it's very very common, for that, for, daddy's girl bringing that out. So we saw that. So that was when I'm like, nah, not this guy. And we were right. It wasn't him. So Heidi's missing. We don't know where she is. Margo's missing. We don't know where she is. Something looks wrong. The apartment wasn't in a mess. It wasn't touched like you would think if there had been a struggle or, somebody took them by force. It just looked like, poof, they were gone. Well, Heidi's had a best friend as well. Her name was Megan Firamuska, and I know I butchered that. I mean, when things come out of my mouth and they should probably have this beautiful accent, it's more like blah, blah, blah. So I'm sorry that I'm mispronouncing her name, but we'll just call her Megan from now on. But Megan and Heidi had met over 20 years ago at a Bible camp, and they were thick as thieves. They had been besties this whole time, and just, kind of just done everything together, including expecting babies together. So Megan was expecting a baby around the same time that Heidi was. And, they were so excited, two best friends going to raise their babies together. I know my best friend and I, we were pregnant. We crossed over a little bit, overlap being pregnant. And I remember going out to dinner with it was she, one of our other best friends, her husband, my best friend's husband, my husband, everybody. And it's like, wow, this is the only time we may be together pregnant at the same time. It was just so much fun, and it was such a cool thing to experience. So I can't imagine, how much fun that was for the girls being that excited. So as her best friend, Megan is distraught, right? She was in the delivery room with Silas. She was in the delivery room with Margo. These two are like sisters, not like just typical friends, right? They might bicker or whatever now and then, but at the end of the day, they're there for each other. So she is just distraught. She's upset. She's calling Shane every day. Do you know more about the case? Do you know more about the investigation? Is there any leads? Is there this? Is there that? I mean, she's just calling. And in the meantime, in all this, one day, so Megan, she has an estranged boyfriend. they're kind of on again, off again, on again, off again kind of thing. And I think it was probably, I don't know if it was like a friends with benefits or what. I don't want to speculate on that, but I did read that he was her landlord at one point, or maybe still, and she didn't pay rent and hadn't been for like 2 to 3 years. So I'm not trying to draw conclusions, but I'm just guessing Chris was getting some kind of payment. His name was Christopher Green, and yeah, so I would think Chris getting paid somehow. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. But anyway, they're on again, off again, right? Probably more off than on. Well, he rolls up at home one night. It was December the 19th. And he goes home. And there's Megan. And she's at his house. And he's probably like, oh, she's done tried to pull up on me, try to catch me with some other girl, or, here she is wanting to start something again, whatever. Well, anyway, he goes on in, and she's in his room with baby on the bed, and she's like, do you remember that baby I told you that I've been expecting that was yours? Well, she's here. She's been born. This is baby Luna. And she was born on December the 12th, 2019. And he's like, really, I'm shocked, right? I mean, he said he knew she was pregnant. He was aware. She told him it was his. And he had seen her belly growing, but he had never really seen her, like, exposed pregnant belly through this time. Just the fact that, like, through clothing, he could see that it was expanding. And, he's, I guess, taken aback, right? I mean, he knew she was pregnant, wasn't expecting that she just was going to show up with the baby. So he's like, where did you have this baby? What's happening? She said, oh, I went to the Woodlands, which is a part of Texas. They were in, like, around the Houston area, so it was a little outside of there. And I had her with a midwife, and here I am, And I guess, based on the series of events that happened next, she has nothing. She showed up with a baby, assuming the baby was dressed with, like, the diaper it was wearing, and she's like, I need you to go get me some formula. Because babies need things, right? They need things instantly. They need food, they need diapers, they need clothes, they need blankets, they need multitude of all those things, right? And then everything else that comes in between. So, but first things first, they gotta eat. So he's like, okay, well, let me run on out here and get some formula. So he goes to the local store. He goes in and gets the formula. And what he doesn't know, our police are suspect of Megan at this point. They have seen some surveillance footage of her being in the parking lot, her car being in the parking lot of the apartment complex where Heidi and Shane lived. And they have seen a woman with a baby get into her sedan and drive away. And then no one's seen that baby since, and nobody's seen Heidi since, so what's going on? So they follow old Chris here to the store, and they see him buying baby formula, and they're like, I'm really hoping this math don't math, but it looks like it's going to math, right? So they approach him, and they're like, hey, got some questions for you. We're a little bit concerned about Megan. Want to know what you're doing here? He's like, I'm buying baby formula. My baby was born. Like, I'm a new dad. I'm excited. Baby Luna's here. All the things, right? So they show him a picture of baby Margo because they are like, have you seen Heidi or this baby? And at that point, he's like, oh, that's the baby that's in my house. And the poop has hit the fan now, right? I mean, it already probably didn't make a whole lot of sense, but right now, like, everything is just, I can't imagine what's going through his head right now. Like, I mean, first of all, I'm pretty sure that as on again and off again as they were, like, he has to know that she's potentially maybe a little off here, because, I mean, if you've just, at a minimum, you've kidnapped somebody's baby, so now the baby's in your house. Like, I mean, you are messed up in some stuff, right? So the Texas Rangers go to the house. They go to his house. Knock, knock, knock. Rap-a-tap-tap. Like, open the door, Megan. We got to talk to you. And she opens the door with a baby monitor in her hand. She's like, can I help you? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you can help us. We need to talk to you about that baby. And she's like, oh, baby Luna, baby little Luna. And they're like, they're kind of playing to it a little bit probably. And they're like, hey, yeah, baby Luna. So where'd you have baby Luna exactly? And she's like, well, it was at a birthing center with a midwife. Okay, well, that's awesome. Can you give us the name of the birthing center? I don't remember it. All right, girl. Surely you had more than 15 seconds to come up with a better story than that you just don't remember it. You don't remember the name of the birthing center. Okay. So she don't remember the name. And they sent her home the same day. Now, let me tell you something. If you hadn't had a baby, having a baby is not a time for a vacation, by no means. But if you're in the hospital and you need to stay overnight, there are things that are going on that you need to make sure you're monitored, you're checked out, baby needs to be checked out, all that type of stuff. I didn't have a baby in a birthing center, but I assume they work the same way. Why would they just say, all right, you just popped out a baby, hit the road, Jack? I don't seem right? Well, of course it don't seem right, because it wasn't right. So the police start looking around. They, of course, find the baby because she's unharmed. She's being taken care of, thank God. So they find her. It is, by picture, it is Margo. Now, granted, there's more that needs to go into the verification of Margo than that, but based on a visual, it's Margo. So then they start looking around. They're like, where's that car? So they find her car, and they pop the trunk, and there's Heidi in a duffel bag, clearly no longer with us. So, Megan, girl, I don't know what you got going on here, but it don't look good. So they get her outside. She's out in the backyard. But they need a warrant for her arrest. And they're detaining her in the backyard. They're talking to her. It takes 7 hours to get this warrant. I don't know why. 7 hours that they're out there outside with her. Baby's inside. All this mess going on. Poor Heidi in the trunk. What in the world? But first I was like, 7 hours? Who's looking after the baby? Because I'm sure Chris is like, I ain't going back in that house. But they did have a victim services officer there and another police officer there that were taking good care of Margo. So she was safe. They get the warrant, signed, sealed, delivered, and they put her in cuffs. They put her in bracelets so quick it makes her head spin, and rightfully so. So they arrest her. Margo is immediately taken into Child Protective Services. She has to go into foster care temporarily because even though she looks the part, they have to verify that this is Shane's baby and Heidi's baby. And they did that as quickly as possible, it sounded like, and she was reunited with her family. But it was indeed Margo. It was indeed Heidi. So, now we got a whole mess, right? How did two best friends end up at this house together, but one is no longer with us, and you got their baby and you're calling her by a different name? What in the world happened, girl? Please tell me a story. Tell me the story, because we don't know. And she did. She did. She told the story. Thankfully, she pled guilty she was facing capital murder at this point, right? So she's facing a larger charge. By confessing, they did reduce the charge down to first-degree murder, which carried a sentence of 55 years. And I believe she did waive her right to appeal, so she will do that time. And she explained what happened, and it was, I guess, that, she had made this story up about being pregnant, and of course now she's got to produce a baby. And poor Heidi, I don't know why she turned on her. She never really said, if she did, I did not see it, why she would do this to the person that she loved, right? They'd been friends for so long. But she went over to Heidi's house that day and decided, I guess, that she needed this baby and she needed her immediately. So she found a dog leash and she strangled Heidi with the dog leash until she was no longer with us. And then she put her in a duffel bag in the trunk of her car and drove to Chris's house in Houston. And that was where he found her. Not knowing, what tragedy was in the trunk of the car right at his house. He had no idea. So I can't imagine how he felt. I mean, he went from thinking he was going to be a father this whole time to being a father for about 15 minutes, and then all this turmoil around it, and then now he's not a father anymore. I cannot imagine the mind warp that was for him. Not saying that, I don't know if Chris was an upsetting dude or not, but I can't imagine at that point that he wasn't feeling some kind of way. So my heart goes out to him for that. But, there was a lot of folks that, kind of spoke out at the trial and around the trial. One being him, saying that he didn't have any idea because he believed her. He believed what she was saying. And then Heidi's dad, so Margo's grandfather, said that he always thought she was a little strange, like when she was in the delivery room. And, of course, he came in after Margo was born, excited to see his granddaughter. And she pushed in front of him, Megan did, and said, no, I want to be the first one to hold her. And he said he thought that was strange, but not like this kind of scenario strange, because who would, right? And the judge was judging that day, and I loved it. The statement was that there was no sentence long enough for her because nothing would put the family back whole, and that she had deprived this child, this innocent baby, of growing up without a mother, all because of her selfishness. And I don't think we could have said it any better ourselves. I mean, it's true. And at what point do you snap on somebody that you are allegedly the closest to in life? Because, I mean, my best friend knows me inside out, up, down, sideways, the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, she's who I call if I have a problem. She's who I call if I need bail money. So I don't know at what point I could ever contemplate that type of snapping, and being like, well, I need something, she's got it. So sorry, sis. It's been a good run, but 20 years was a great one, but you're out. I don't get it. I don't get it. Have you guys heard about this? Did you see this trial? Did you follow this closely? Like I said, I'd heard about it, but I didn't follow it like I should have. Now with the movie coming out, it piqued my interest once again. But it's just a tragedy, and I cannot imagine what poor Shane, the ridicule that he faced online, which obviously was unfounded. He did not do this. And now he's got 2 kids to raise on his own. And it broke my heart to just think about that poor little girl. Silas will remember a few things, obviously being 6. But poor Margo, she's only going to know the stories. And it's all because of Megan's selfishness and Megan's inability to just admit the truth and that you weren't pregnant. And the scary part about it was I was listening to another podcast that talked to another friend of theirs, and she was talking about this registry that Megan had, and she's like, yeah, there's a registry out there, baby registry, for gifts and whatnot. And the registry was made way back, and the due date was the same as Heidi's due date. So I think earlier I misspoke and said that she was due on the 12th, but it was this, she had it paired up to Heidi's due date. So, I mean, I don't know if she was planning this all along, but it sounds like from day one, she knew from the jump what she was going to do. She was planning, well, I'm going to make me do around the same time, and whatever happens, happens. And I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I can't imagine not being able to trust my best friend. That's rough right there. But you guys leave me some comments below. Let me know what you think about this one. It's a shorter probably than I normally ramble, a whole lot longer than this, but this was a wild one. And forgive me if I misspoke a couple times in it and mispronounced names. Like I said, it's been a heck of a week. You can look at the hair and tell that. But I wanted to get this one out to you guys and talk to you about it, because I think it's important for Heidi's story to get out there, and little Margo, and to just keep Shane's name out there, because he was innocent and he was ridiculed by a lot of folks that he shouldn't have been. So let me know what you think down below. And as always, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Leave me some comments or some suggestions. There's always an email in the description box if you would like to send a case you would like me to cover. I have a few on the list, but I'm always looking for more. And until next time, my cupcakes, I want you to stay sweet, stay safe out there, and I will see you next time. Bye.